Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. On this occasion, we from Group 5 will present an analysis about the project report on science language in Indonesia. This group consists of 3 people, that me, Wahyuni, and Vivi Febrina, and also Alma Savana. Okay, I will just leave it to the first presenter for introduction. Vivi, you may take your time, please.
Thank you, moderator. I'll be the first presenter. I will explain about our introduction of our project. First, background information. Learning sign language in beginner level usually intended for the teachers who will teach the deaf children, but actually sign language can be understood by most people to interact and develop their hearing impairment quality. In learning sign language, the teachers level in beginner to the advanced level through the classes. The learning process isn't that easy because not all the cities are being facilitated. There are also cities which the development of sign language is still underdeveloped. Sign language defined as visual communication to convey meaning or information. It also combines non-manual elements. How does someone improve their skill of sign language? As if spoken language, every individual surely has difficulty. Sign language for beginners also possibly improve naturally. However, it also being learned in steps and takes time for individuals to become fluent. Then, research purposes. The aim of this study is to explain how people learn sign language as if they use it as mother language or even new language. In the term of the development of technology, there also will be explained in this project about the using of technology for sign language. And the research question of our project paper first is how Indonesian people develop their skill of sign language. Second, how do they introduce sign language to deaf children? Third, which sign language type are Indonesian people use or mostly to be learned? And the last question is what are the implementations or media using to learn sign language? And these are the research significance as conduct to bring benefits for both of the deaf community and hearing people in the study of sign language. And these are the related theories based on our project paper. Next, Alma Savana will be explain the data analysis.
Okay, thank you. There are 4 main points contained in the data analysis. The first one is skill development of Indonesian Sign Language. To uphold the rights of people with disabilities and people who are hearing, it's not only necessary a good communication for sign language, but support from the surrounding spatial environment. Sign language, which was developed for hearing people, will not be useful if people generally don't care about sign language. Society's acceptance of people with hearing loss can promote good social interaction in building society. However, the lack of public awareness of sign means people with hearing loss encounter sign in their social lives. Thus, research was conducted to measure people's ability to sign language in their ability to communicate with people who are hearing. In addition, research has also been conducted the perceptions of people in the desire to learn sign language. It is hoped that by responding to perceptions of sign language, one can see that society's vision for sign language is the next step to developing media for sign language. The second one is introducing sign language to deaf children. When parents learn ASL, which is often done, the children learn ASL and other visual transmission is easily and efficiently as a hearing child learn to speak and goes through the same steps. At first, they speak verbally and manually. Next, create individual letters with predictable error that are comparable to pronunciation error in hearing impaired children. For example, mm, you might create a sign with the correct movement and hand shape, but the sign placement is incorrect. For example, if a 3-year-old child of hearing parents creates a cute sign on the cheek instead of the chin. And then the signing kid exchange you with me at the same act, the same way they are talking. On the other hand, hearing children of hearing parents have traditionally had major drawbacks until relatively recently most hearing person Gordon made a little or no effort to learn ASL. And people who are naturally deaf generally cannot communicate more efficiently in oral language than in sign language. This is also true if the hearing child has been taught oral language from an early age. And then the third one is types of Indonesian Sign Language. Currently, there is two sign language in Indonesian. There are CB and Bisindo, or we call it Sistem Isyarat Bahasa Indonesia dan Bahasa Isyarat Indonesia. Although CB is used as the official sign language at school, but it's not commonly used by the deaf on their daily life. CB turns the Indonesian spoken language into sign language and follow its grammar structure along prefix and suffix. Those make CB more impractical and unneutral for the deaf. Bisindo, on the other hand, translate an Indonesian word followed by paras that express its context. We are choosing Bisindo instead of CB. In line with suggestion and request from the hearing person to make Bisindo be the official sign language, Indonesian official sign language. The Indonesian Sign Language, or we call it Bisindo, gesture recognized performed in the study was systematically performed by keyfold mutual validation, which combine the following Xbox or HMM and BIC and others. And then the fourth is learning through the media and the implementation. Application is a program that can be used to curate commands entered by an application user and is intended to obtain accurate results according to the purpose of the application. Learning media is Latin-derived word plural media that means mediation, referral. There are some opinions that word media has many meanings. Can be interpreted as any tool used to convey information, can be also interpreted as the presence and others. This means communicating your truth, your thoughts. Learning can be also be described as the process communicating through process it was learning. And then the next slide, please, with you. Findings. The results of data analysis explain the importance of good influence and support for sign language communication. It can be seen that community visits to sign language are the next step in developing sign language media that are in accordance with community expectation. Previously, we provided material on sign language in America, namely ASL. After we did a search based on the existing facts, that Indonesia uses special sign language, namely Bisindo and CB. The test results of this methodology were successful in recognizing Bisindo's gestures with an accuracy of approximately 90 to 70%. Thank you.
Okay, next is about discussion. Now we come to the discussion is about science language is a communication system that use visual cues, such as used by deaf people, combines hand gestures, arms, body, and facial expression to convey a message or to create a communication process. Deaf people need a good environment, support, and even facilities or learning media so that they are able to learn communicate in signs language well. Adults, when they have introduced signs language to small children by using simple movements, introducing the alphabet and inviting them to the social to the deaf people so they can be broaden the horizon of deaf children. There are two kinds of signs language used in Indonesia. First is CB and Bisindo. The most common method used to learn signs language can be through face-to-face or digital media. For example, for face-to-face is finger spelling or throat expression. To develop skills in learning signs language, there is no other way than to study, see, and practice. Those who are not deaf also actually have to keep learning signs language because we know communication does not rule out the possibility with whom we will communicate. The deaf people are also people who will always interact, not always those who try to understand to hearing person, but who are hearing person should understand the situation for deaf person. Because for deaf children, they are usually taught through special schools, but general deaf children have parents who understand signs language. Because this can impact from behavior. So if we see that there are special schools in Indonesia that teach deaf children, it is an implementation of a form of signs language learning. Because this is usually parents also support and understand signs language so that they can communicate with their children. But this happened at parents' hearings and deaf children. It generally have the parents are deaf and the child is deaf must be very fluent in using signs language. That the discussion from our material. Next page, please. Okay, this is about the conclusion. Conclusion will be explained with Vivi Fabrina. You may take your time, please.
Thank you, moderator. Okay, I will conclude our project. Learning sign language started when a deaf child created a sign and combined symbols. Hearing impaired children might try to teach lip reading. However, people who are naturally deaf can communicate through spoken language in their early age. So the study if language is not only about learning it through methods and materials, but there's needed support from people around the users, especially for the deaf community who use this language to communication with others. Even though both of the deaf children and the deaf parents have disadvantages in communication, and in disrespectful actions such as discrimination for them can be accepted. And this is the reference for our group project paper. So there are some journals and books titled Communication of Teacher and Deaf Student Introducing Sign Language in the Extraordinary School, Pertiwi Ponorogo, and etc. So that's all our presentation for this last project. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.